Hello, this is Margaret Ajibole, the STEM Positive Disruptor, on Mia's conversation with a special guest, Navjot Sawhney. I'm shortened Nav, but he's the founder of the Washing Machine Project. Oh my gosh, I am so excited because he's such a busy man, but he's done something amazing. He's dealing with issues of life where he's using engineering to make that difference. And we are celebrating him today. We're just saying, wow, this is so good. Again, what we want to do, we want to educate, we want to raise awareness, we want to change people's perception and demystify what STEM is, that science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We want to showcase the diverse roles. We also want to showcase how STEM is making an impact in our world, doing good things in our world. And so we want to celebrate that. But I'm celebrating now today because he's just an amazing guy. He had a vision and it started with a journey going back home to India, and he connected with somebody and bringing it to life. So without further ado, welcome.
Thank you for the introduction, Margaret. Really appreciate it.
No problem. So please tell us more about yourself. Tell us why start this washing machine project. I know you started in 2016, and that was to do with a neighbor to live next to who washed clothes with her hands, and it took ages. And you actually named it after her, Divya. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Right.
But before we get into that, I think going way back and finding out how it started is in my life, and how I fell in love with engineering is a good starting point.
Okay.
So I was born and brought up in London. My father was an aerospace engineer, and he would take me to air shows. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was just really obsessed with how these big aircrafts would go into the sky. I would come back home and I would take some tools out of the toolbox in the cupboard, and I would just open everything, plugs, remotes, fridges, TVs, fans, and I would not know how to put anything back together again. And I used to break it. And I was just curious to know how things would work inside. And that used to make my mum really angry. But that curiosity was always there on how things work.
That's so important, isn't it? Yeah. Go on, carry.
Yeah. And so my father passed away when I was very young, and my mother raised me with my two older sisters, and I knew kind of firsthand the importance of women in the household. And when it came to my A levels and choosing where I wanted to go to university and what to study, it seemed kind of a natural transition. I really loved maths, and I like the mechanics bit of maths, and so that's why I decided to study aerospace engineering at Queen Mary University of London. So I was there for 4 years. I did my master's there, and this was in 2013. And I applied for many jobs, and I luckily got an offer from an organization called Dyson and their graduate program, which was a phenomenal opportunity, and I was really appreciative of that. And I was there for 3.5 years. I was learning on the job. An amazing experience, phenomenally talented people around me, all striving towards these amazing products that they were making. But I realized kind of 3 or 4 years into my career that, is this going to be the rest of my life? Am I going to be in this organization forever? Am I going to be making vacuum cleaners forever? And if you'd asked me at the start of my career, I'd be saying yes. That'd be the dream,
Yeah.
But 3 or 4 years in, I realized I wanted something different. I wanted to make impact on the world,
Yeah.
and I wanted to help people with my engineering. And I believe that people from STEM backgrounds have the power to help or hinder the planet.
So true. Yeah.
And in such a kind of intersection in life right now with the world, uh, it's such a powerful decision if you want to, what company you join nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, I realized that I wanted to do more. So I decided to apply for voluntary positions that are available to me. This opportunity with Engineers Without Borders UK came up. They had a scheme where they'd send engineers all over the world to help organizations in countries like Uganda or India or whatnot. And I was sent to India to help make clean and efficient cooking stoves.
Wow.
And that's where I was for a year and a half. And that experience was eye-opening. On Monday, we'd have an idea. Tuesday, we would prototype the idea. Wednesday, we would put that prototype in the field. And by Thursday, we'd have already got some feedback from the
Wow.
field as to why that idea was rubbish.
Oh, oh, perfect.
And by Friday, we'd already be thinking about the next prototype. And that was for people who use wood to cook their food.
Yeah.
And the goal was to make an affordable, so £10 cooking stove that reduced emissions, smoke emissions for people who use wood to cook their food. So uh, that experience from an engineering point of view was eye-opening, but from a personal point of view, being so close to so much suffering and so much uh, um, just the lack of resources,
Yeah.
so if you didn't have a generator, then you weren't able to power your home for long periods of time. If you didn't have a generator, you wouldn't be able to pump water up to your water storage. And that means you'd have to physically collect water for the neighboring well or lake, or you'd have to be up at 6 a.m. for 15 minutes trying to run around filling up as much water that become available. And so in a from where I was in the UK to where I was living next after that in India in a village, it was an eye-opening experience for me personally. And my next door neighbor, a lady called Divya, was in the village I was staying in, and we became best friends. And her Tamil was amazing. My Tamil was rubbish. Her Tamil was amazing. Her English was amazing, and we got to communicate like that, and we became friends. And I saw her struggle every day when it came to hand washing clothes. She'd spend hours and hours and hours a day slaving away. And I said to her, why don't you just buy an electrical washing machine? And she says, it's too expensive. We don't have a generator and there's too much water. And I said, okay, I'll make you one. And that's how the washing machine project started.
Yeah, that's such an amazing story. And you know what I do like about you, and that's why I'm celebrating you as well, is that you're not just doing it. Of course, our drivers are so different from every individual, but you knew what your drivers were initially. And then you sort of got into that journey when you worked in Dyson, and you realized, hold on a minute, there must surely be much more than this, than what I'm offering in life. And again, it was like you looking at other alternatives and looking at how can I impact my world. And that work could be very close to you, but abroad. And you given that opportunity for Engineers Without Borders, going to India and doing this, connecting with somebody, and you realize, hold a minute, there is a need here. And it's amazing that you went to India, but really, if you think about it, even in the UK, there is a need. There are people who are suffering who come up. Yes, we do have the systems in place, but there's some that don't have the monetary to enable them to do that. So that washing machine, as you say, started when you met her, but actually the inventions you've made will actually work here in the UK as well, because there are people who have a need that you can, because of cost, because of the cost of living at the moment as well. So I as I said, I want to celebrate. I'm really appreciative of what you've done, and I'd like to. So how did then, because you understood that there was a need, so you saw a gap, and then you saw that I had to the need for innovation, because I heard about you saying, look, one day you start a need has been identified, you create something, you develop a prototype, put it out there, and then people come back with feedback on it. But it gave you a grounding to start off and say, look, I can see what they're trying to do, but maybe there's something we can do better, and go back and reflect and review how to do it. So when you identify that, so how did you move to the next stage? Very, very briefly, because again, there's so much I want to talk to you about, but I also don't want us to miss out on the good points, because half an hour is really good for people to engage with you and hear your story itself.
Yeah.
So what's the next stage? How did you move on from that?
Yeah, I mean, from the inception and that promise, that was in 2018. I came home. I messaged one of my friends from Dyson. His name was Alex, and
Hey, Alex.
yeah, we got together and we said, how can we solve this? And I cherry picked some of my other friends, whether it's someone that was working at Microsoft at the time in data science, someone was working in the UN in humanitarianism, and someone who was already built a washing machine. So it was like 3 or 4 of us. We were all volunteers, and we just wanted to solve this issue, or solve this problem. And we came to my mum's house, and we were around the kitchen table. There was a kind of salad spinner there, and we were like, maybe we can use a salad spinner.
Salad spinner. Okay,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So people need to look indoors. There's something there that you make use to do other things as well. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
And so then we something that I did do was I wanted to go back to university and learn more about humanitarianism.
Okay.
So I did a master's, and that was a real turning point for me. I met lots of people. They were very supportive, University of Bath. And there was a friend on my course who's quite senior in a charity. He invited me to Iraq to test this prototype that we were making. So Alex and I went to Iraq, we tested it, and we got feedback from 79 families to say that there is a need here, and we want an alternative. And we wrote a report that's still on our website, by the way. And we continued in that vein. So we kept testing and testing, and then Oxfam came and said, hey, we like what you're doing, we want to fund some more machines. And then COVID hit, and then a big corporate RS group, who are our flagship partners, they said, hey, we love what you're doing, we want to fund 10,000 of these machines.
Wow. Awesome.
And that's how it grew.
It's amazing. It started with Divya. So it's all down to her. Oh, bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
So we have to really acknowledge Divya as being the person who got you start thinking out of the box. And so we celebrate her too. I also celebrate, because you talked about Alex a lot. So is he your co-founder in some ways? I know you had initiative, but because you're both partners, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so Alex is still working at Dyson even to this day.
Right.
I think he was, at the time, he was just helping me on my way.
Okay.
So
Alex is a good guy.
he remains remains an incredible supporter. Indeed. Very fond of that time with Alex.
Indeed. Do you know, I appreciate what you said. I do love what you've done. And you know what I do like as well. This is why we are problem solvers. This is why we do what we do. Is that you brought a team together because you saw an idea. And I like the idea you spoke about look at, you went to your mom's house, you found a silent
Yeah,
healer, and that gave you an idea. Okay, how does it dynamics, the driver, what makes this work? And I guess it took you to see things in a different light. And I think that's so
yeah,
important, because that's what we do. And we are problem solvers. We're curious about so many things. And you started off your journey when you spoke about, you having things, you open things at home when you're in your early age of life. You started looking, tinkering around things. And I think because I used to do that. I used to love cars, and I used to watch people used to fix their cars on Saturday. It used to be a cool thing. But this is what we do, and I think there's a passion for you to do that. There's a passion for us. We have a passion for some to make a difference. That's why
yeah,
this platform is set up. So fast forward now, because I know you've got quite a lot of props going on. How I mean, we know that there's big investors working with your partners, investors, financial partners that are with you. So what's the next stage with this? How do you iterate? Are you going to iterate and improve on what you're already
yeah.
doing? Okay.
I mean, so as engineers, we continue to iterate, and there's always something to improve. There's more products in our portfolio, and we want to accelerate our portfolio of products as quick as possible.
Okay.
These things obviously take time,
Okay.
and we're really interested in making impact. So we want to positive impact about 150,000 lives by 2025. So that's only in a couple of
Wow.
years' time.
Indeed.
Um, and we want to grow some of our programs. So currently we're distributing in Uganda. So continue distribution there, but also grow into new countries like India or Mexico and Brazil, for example. So
Wow.
those are some of the things that are yet to come.
So if I just go back slightly, so why do you think it's important? What, because one of the things that we what this platform is been set up, we want to showcase what STEM is doing, the benefits of STEM. So engineering, for example, and
Yeah,
also about how we use business idea, creativity, innovation to bring change. And because we can't be just
yeah,
technical, we have to be business savvy as well. And you seem to have combined all of this together with STEM. And so, you know, this is something amazing. So what would you say? Because, one of the things we want for this platform to do is to enthuse our young people, because one of the things that young people are very keen about is bringing positive change to the world, looking at the environmental side of things, but also you talked about engineering and how you're using engineering, but also about the dynamics within what you're bringing to the masses and how it's bringing improvement to the way of life, freeing up time for them to do other things. So, one of the key things you said about is that women are the ones, which is true, in most parts of the world, are the ones that do all the domestic work. So washing, for example, is a big thing. And it also talks about, I think there was an article or something about, in Iraq, the feedback you got was that, look, this has made life so much easier for us, where we can now free time for our children, especially girls, to do other things as well. So what would you say to young people? What are the things that based on your experience, based on your journey, that you see that could be, the issues are there, but what can we do to eliminate those, or at least ease some of the pressure that is on life? Because life can be pressurizing sometimes. So what would you say would be the
yeah.
things to do?
It's a good question, Margaret. And I think, if you track back my story to that point where I was applying for jobs, um, I was so focused on just getting a job, an engineering job, because that's what I studied, that I didn't really think about what company I was applying for, what role I was applying for. I was just obsessed with getting some sort of job.
Yeah.
Now that was uh, later down the line that became an issue, because obviously this is something that I didn't want to do, longer term. And I think uh, graduates or young people that are thinking about going into a career are a bit more thoughtful now in terms of what they're doing. The Gen Zs amongst us are inherently quite frustrated about the planet that they're inheriting. and they want to make a change and they want to make positive impact on the world.
Yeah.
So they are demanding from employers to be thoughtful and be intentional with their positive impact. So at the time, for example, I was an aerospace engineer and I was applying for missile defense companies. And that's something that I look back on and think, why did I do that? That's something that doesn't align with my morals or beliefs.
Yeah.
And I love doing these kinds of podcasts because I hope there's someone listening to say to hear that they don't have to do that. And engineering is such a wide, or STEM roles are so wide reaching.
Yeah.
You could be a technical marketer or a technical sales, or there's all sorts of things that you need a technical mind, but apply it to government, as in policy, or in finance, or in marketing, or in engineering or project management. So I think that the image of what an engineer or what someone in STEM looks like is very different to the actual reality.
Indeed, you know something, and that's why there's so many initiatives out there that are changing that, showing role models, people like, people of different background, different race, female, genders as well. And I think that's so important because, again, we're showcasing what is reality for us in the industry itself. And of course you're one, I'm one, but it's also about us celebrating what we do. But thank you so much again, because again, this is about understanding that you don't always have to, because sometimes we are driven by what everybody else is doing. Oh, I want to show, look, this is what I am. I'm working at Dyson's. Oh, I've got this job there. I'm earning X amount. I'm this and that. Because it in a way it props us. It's all that look at me now kind of thing, which is okay.
Yeah.
But going on that journey is okay too, because what you said, 3 or 4 years down the line, if you realize this is not you. And I think it's been true to yourself, isn't it? And I think when you realize this is not you, then you can make those changes, because sometimes you're not really sure or clear how to move forward anyway.
Yeah.
You said about applying for so many jobs, and it's what came to you that you went for, isn't it, in many ways? So excuse me, I'm talking as well.
No worries.
But yeah, I'm celebrating seriously now. I'm just so appreciative of you, of what you're doing, and how you're impacting the world. I'm gonna have to drink some water. I'm about to cough again.
No.
Sorry about that.
No
yeah.
worries at all.
So yeah, I'm just saying thank you, because you are a role model, and you're bringing positive change to the world. Sorry. Sorry about that. I don't know what's happened there.
No worries at all.
Yes, it does. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just so appreciative of what you've done and your journey and what you're doing, impacting the world. And there was an article where I said engineering is humanitarian as well, and that's so true, because what you're doing is a case of that being true. And there are other initiatives that are happening as well, showing that look, there's much more than, I think there was a comment you made that building vacuum cleaners for the rich. It is so true, because what you're doing is making someone else's life so much better. The washing machine, you don't have to worry about electricity, and you don't have to worry about the cost, because it's a handheld machine that you roll, and it's innovative, and it's also something that anyone can use, and it's also about the easy maintenance of it as well. There's so many benefits to what you've done, and I know you've got other things in the pipeline, but I'm celebrating you. I'm celebrating your achievement. I'm celebrating you, but also I'm celebrating Divya as well. Divya, because if you didn't have that connection with her, you wouldn't have thought about this idea. So, sometimes it's our environment that helps us to see things and say, what can I do to make that difference? So I am saying thank you so much. I'm thanking you because what you've done is raise the awareness of what is possible, what we should start thinking about, thinking out of the box and producing something that would make that difference in someone else's life. So you're impacting the world in a positive way using engineering. And so to me, that's something to celebrate about you. I do appreciate that you're busy, and what I do like about you as well is that people saw your vision and they tapped into that vision. And that's so important because people can have great vision, but if they're not able to get it translated to tangible results, it becomes just a vision in your head.
Yeah.
And to me, you've translated from your head to something that's so tangible that's now impacting worlds in Uganda, in Iraq, and other parts of the world. But even in the developed countries as well, there's a need as well. So maybe something for you to think about, because the people are strong on cost of living. Some people still going into the washing, what you call the laundrette to do their washing, and some are not able to do it because of cost. So again, it's just something to think about. So I just want to say thank you so much. I know it's very short, it's very brief, but I think the key element is this. Look, you started on a journey. You realized where you were, that there was much more to you than just what you were doing, building vacuum cleaners for rich people. But also, until you were exposed to a different world, you didn't know where you would impact the world. And then you went back to university, did your master's in humanity or humanitarian things, and that also piqued your interest. And then you had help. So shout out to University of Bath as well for helping, supporting you, because all of these are the people that help us to be where we want to be, isn't it? Alex, for example, even though he's still working for Dyson, he came in, and all the other principal people that he brought in to start off this journey. So we shout out to them, even though we don't know them, they're not nameless to you, because the value added they put to you to make you to come to this next level. So again, we shout out to them, and we're saying thank you so much, because without them helping you, maybe you would have been struggling, but maybe you'll be still having, well, I need this, I need that, but you had friends who saw your vision, helped you get to that next level. And now you have investors, financial investors saying, we want to help you. And then the world, the people you're impacting, and how the difference you're making in as well. So again, Nav, I can talk with you all day. And I'm sorry for my coughing spell, but
no worries.
It's all the excitement. But again, look, thank you very much, because this platform here, we do is to educate, want to raise awareness, want to change people's perception and demystify STEM, but also to showcase what engine or STEM is doing in the world, the benefits is adding to our world. And you are a prime example of that, and how using engineering to impact positively in our world as well. And also for young people to say, look, if Nav can do it, I can do it too. You don't have to go this way. You can, even if you start that way, you can also opt out and go for your dream and fulfill your where you want to go to. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. We plan to showcase this on different mediums, but I will let you know about that as well. So thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.